meeting.
This conference will now be recorded.
Move to agenda item 2, which is opportunity for public comment. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to address the TAC? Is there anybody online that wishes to address the TAC?
No one online.
All right, agenda item 3 is an action item regarding approval of the minutes from the March 11th, 2026 meeting. This is pages 5 through 8 in your packet. There are no revisions or changes requested. Happy to entertain a motion. I have a motion.
Second.
Okay, who was the second? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That motion carries. Item number 4 is a discussion and action item regarding a recommendation to approve resolution 2026-05, recognizing May as National Bike Month. This is pages 9 through 12 in your packet. This is an annual resolution we bring before the TAC and Policy Board. Anita?
Thank you so very much. If you could please go to the next screen, thank you. For the month of May, we have several communities sponsoring some National Bike Month activities. We have Ride a Bike Day. Anybody can ride a bike, no matter where you live. That's Sunday, May 3rd. Bike and Roll to School Day. That's a national effort. We haven't had any of our independent school districts support that effort yet. However, we're always hopeful for the next year. Bike to Work Week is May 11th through the 15th. The Ride of Silence is May 20th. And that's going to be in the city of Nolanville. And then not mentioned up here is Coppers Cove. They're hosting a alternate bike rodeo. So we're excited about that. I believe that's going to be held at Ogletree Gap. And that is, I think that's on Saturday the 9th, but I'll need to confirm that. And we'll be supporting that through social media. And then on May the 15th is Bike to Work Day. So we're requesting recommendation to support our resolution.
And the items that are highlighted in the packet, those will be, I guess, finalized for
Yes,
taking
sir.
it to the policy.
Yes, sir.
The verification of the time for the Ride of Silence, I'm guessing, and the time for the adaptive.
The adaptive bike rodeo,
Okay.
yes.
All right, that's all the questions I have.
I have a question. Next year, could we do this maybe in March? So, because like with May, like everybody, because of the notice and everything, I know like April 3rd is, April 6th is gonna be the city of Rogers, and then April 8th. I can get it in Little River, but Rogers, it's already too late, and so with the school board in Rogers, it's too late. So if it's okay with everybody else, a March notice would be better for May hosting.
Well, this is a national effort.
Uh-huh.
It's not, I mean, we support the national effort, which is the month of May.
Okay, then I will put it on my calendar to remind myself to get everybody to get ready to approve.
Typically what we do is we present these types of activities at the beginning of the year in January or the last meeting of the year to project ahead to get as much cooperation and collaboration as
Right.
possible. But if you have something in a different month and you want us to support it outside of May because May doesn't work for you, we'd be happy to do that.
I was just thinking earlier notice, but I'll take care of it. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Thank you. No worries.
All right, any other questions? There aren't any. I will entertain a motion. I have a motion in a second. Any further questions? All right, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That motion carries. All right, agenda item 5 is a discussion and action item regarding recommendation to approve the draft FY25 Transportation Alternatives Annual Report. This is typically a report that we get from the state, and Callie will correct me if I'm wrong because she's been working diligently on this and has briefed me this morning, so I know all there is to know about this report. But the state has not produced this report. Typically, they send it out to us. We submit it to the TAC and Policy Board, and then we, as a matter of requirement by the state, our board approves it, and then it's submitted to the state. We don't have that report information from the state yet, but Callie did draft based on information last year and how the report was done, what we're tracking to be included in that report. So what we're asking for is a recommendation to approve the information that was provided in an email. I don't know, it was very hard to read because there was a lot of lines and cells on the Excel spreadsheet. But to recommend approval of this report to the policy board, but in the off chance that TxDOT sends something back that contradicts this report, we would then bring that back to the TAC and policy board for approval before submission to the state. This is just our attempt to get ahead of this before they email us in a week and say, hey, we need this in 3 days. Please go ahead and do it. So that's the ask at this point in time. Any questions on that?
So is this a draft report only?
This is a draft
form only?
draft at this point, yes.
And so we don't have a copy of the draft to look at?
There was one included in your email, if you didn't see it, and I printed out a copy. I hate to take that 11, but it's, you know.
All right.
We do have it on, I have a copy here on 11 by 17. It's still kind of hard to read, but I mean, even if you get back and you take a look at it and say, hey, we need to make this change, this is to recommend approval of the draft. If additional changes are needed before it goes to policy board, we can make those changes. Yeah.
So this captures all of the transportation alternative, transportation enhancement projects,
Right.
either awarded through the state selected competition or through the NPO fund. So any Cat 9 project, any TASA set aside state selected project, we just have to capture these annually and determine.
I reviewed it earlier. Wanted to make sure it said draft.
Yeah, this right now is a draft.
Okay.
So Ryan, I'll move to accept to move the draft forward.
Makes sense.
It does.
I'll second that.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further questions, clarification needed? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That motion carries. Okay, agenda item 6 is a discussion and action item regarding approval of the Institute for Demographic and Socioeconomic Research at UT San Antonio, completion of the control total memo for the KTMPO model planning area. Kendra, I'll hand this off to you. This is pages 15 through 16. And I know we do have a presenter from UTSA online to go over the control total memo, correct?
Yes, so this control total memo is one of the steps that feeds into our travel demand model. So this is one of the preliminary requirements that we have to approve as a technical committee before TxDOT and the travel demand model team can move forward with the next steps of the update. So this is a report that UTSA provides to us periodically. I believe James presented on this control total memo back in 2023 or 2024, and then it's been about every 2 years before that as well. So we have Po-Chun on our virtual access, who is going to walk us through a couple of the main findings from the demographic report.
Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay? Good. Awesome. So I cannot see the screen, so I'm going to follow my slides here, and I'm going to refer to the tables and figures with the numbers so that everybody can kind of pay your attention to those figures and numbers. Okay. So first of all, my name is Po-Chun Huang. I'm a special research associate at UT San Antonio. So myself and my team are responsible for developing the control total memo. So control totals stand for numbers or statistics for demographic or socioeconomic variables at a high level. And high level here we meant is the county or study area level. Okay, so control totals stands for numbers behind the demographic and socioeconomic variables at a high level. So control total memo is a documentation, summarize all the numbers, and then talk about what their potential implication to the area. So if you look at the map, the map I kind of want to draw everybody's attention to. So KTMPO, Killeen-Temple MPO, is a 3-county MPO, and the model area boundary, or MAB, is composed of an entire county of Bell County and 2 partial counties, Coryell County and Lampasas County. So to collect data for the MAB, model area boundary, we need to calculate proportions of those control totals, those numbers or demographic statistics, in terms of the proportion of Coryell and Lampasas. So if you look at table A1, you will see a table with proportions. Since Bell County is entirely within the MAB, so all the proportion of those control totals, the proportion is 1 because every number goes into the MAB. However, if you look at table A1, there are proportions for Coryell and Lampasas County. So in this table, I want to draw your attention. So in this table, it has 5 columns. The first 3 columns is what we call population control totals, which are total population, household population is the second column. Third column is group quarters, GQ pop is group quarters population. So those 3 are population control totals. And the fourth column is household control totals, is number of households or occupied housing units. And the fifth column is the employment control total or socioeconomic variable, number of employment count within the county inside the MAB. So we calculate the proportion. So once we apply the proportion for each control total, we can calculate what's the control total at KTMAB level. So moving on to the next slide, if you see figure 1, it's a control total, it's a population control total. So this map is to showcase how fast the KTMPO, yes, thank you. So figure 1, you can see, oh, sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, we had an issue with the PowerPoint sharing online. We were just fixing it real fast. Just a moment.
No problem. So if you look at figure 1, yes. So you'll see the figure shows the 3 KTMPO counties along with state of Texas. And because the state of Texas, the population size is much larger, like 100 times larger than the 3 counties in the MPO. So we put the scale in terms of total population count on the right for state. So in this chart, what I want to draw your attention to is that look at, so this is the total population for the past 6 decades for the 3 counties and the state. So when you look at this chart, the scale of population size is different for the state versus the county. However, the slope or the steep represent the speed of population growth. So the steeper the line means the faster the growth for that geography. So in this case, you can see a steeper green line stands for Bell County's population growth. So the takeaway point here is that Bell County, which is composed of the majority of the KTMPO, is growing faster or has been growing faster than the state overall. Okay, so that's the take-home point. So that means this region is a fast-growing region. So based on that control total, population control total information, we recommend select a high growth scenario for forecast population control totals. Okay, so next slide, please. So moving on, have that in mind. So this table 10A summarizes the control totals for population control totals and household control totals. I know there are a lot of numbers, but this table is showing forecast year of population control totals. So the first column is forecast year 2025, followed by forecast year 2030, and then the last column is forecast year 2055. And there are 4 panels here, each panel for each county of the MPO, and the last panel is the KTMPO model area boundary. And the calculation is like what I showed in the previous table A1. We apply the proportion we calculate for each control total, summarize it at the MAB boundary, MAB level. So just pay attention to the last panel, the KTMPO MAB. So overall, if you look at the 3 population control totals, the total population has been or the total population is expected to be increasing over time all the way down to 2055. Group quotas population remains the same or stable. Population in households or household population is expected to grow along with total population for sure. And number of households or occupied housing unit is expected to grow as well. The last row, you will see average household size is expected to decrease over time in the same projection horizon. So aside from household numbers, average household size, another household level control total is the household income. It matters because it impacts travel behaviors. So figure 6 on the top right here, you can see this is the projected median household income at the MAB level. So it's for Killeen-Temple MPO model area boundary. So there are 2 lines here. So the blue line stands for inflation adjusted numbers or inflation adjusted dollars, 2024 dollars of the median household income over time. And the orange line here on top shows the nominal, meaning just the kind of the surface level, what's the income in terms of the number, non-inflation adjusted. So the trend is pretty obvious here. So the nominal level of median household income will be or is expected to increase over time all the way to 2055. In the meantime, the inflation adjusted median household income is expected to decline slightly until 2055. So that's another control total component. So at the bottom right in the graph, this is showing the last piece of the control total, which is the employment control totals. So this control total number demonstrated here in this graph is showing employment composition by type. So there are 4 types of employment we use in travel demand modeling, which are the basic type of employment, retail, service, and education. So this chart or this figure, the bottom right figure, summarize the kind of the employment composition in the MAB model area boundary from 2010 and all the way to 2024. Those are the past and current statistics or control totals. And then we forecast that to the future until 2055. And the takeaway point here is that as you can see, the composition of employment by type is pretty stable for Killeen-Temple MPO model area boundary. So the last column or the last bar chart show 4 segments, and that's the predicted or expected distribution of employment by type. So those are the kind of the high level summary I would like to provide. So to recap, control totals are numbers at high level, high geographic level. So what numbers? Those are numbers for demographic and socioeconomic variables, including population, household, employment. And high level, we mean by county and regional level. So this summarizes the current, the past, the current, and future. And I believe the MPO will work with a consultant to develop the smaller geography level demographic input, and the control totals will serve as the benchmark to compare when the consultant MPO, they aggregate the TAZ traffic analysis zone level demographics to compare to the benchmark. So that orients the whole team to develop that demographic input. Okay, thank you. I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Any questions?
No, I don't. No, thank you, Po, for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So these will be the numbers that we use to inform the TDM.
These will be so Kimley Horn will be developing our demographics, but these will be, as Po mentioned, a benchmark to compare those developed demographics against. And then the demographics, the household, socioeconomic, these factors will be inserted into the travel demand model for the final congestion and future growth scenarios of our region. So what we are asking for today is a consensus and an agreement with these control totals, this memo to be approved by the technical committee so that we can move forward with the network and the demographic development as the next steps of the travel demand model, which then big picture feeds into our next project scoring process.
Questions? Questions? If there are no questions, I'll entertain a motion. To approve. Motion. Who seconded? A second. Any further questions on the control total memo? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, that motion carries. Agenda item 7 is a discussion and action item regarding recommendation to approve the contract agreement between KTMPO and Killeen-Temple for the TDM demographics and network update. This has been brought to everybody before. We've done some UPWP amendments. The actual contract has been provided or was provided as an attachment to the packet for your consideration and feedback. If there were any recommended revisions to be made. If there aren't any, I'm happy to entertain a motion for
So we do have Kinley Horn on the line as well. If there are any questions about the specific scope or the deliverables of each task, those tasks are laid out here on the screen. And I also have a breakdown as well of the task summary right here of the 79,000 is where we land with the tasks as a whole. I believe when you saw this back in March, that was a preliminary scope. We had since received direction from TxDOT to slightly revise the scope. And Ryan Graves with Kinley Horn is on the line and can speak to that change, that slight change in scope and how it involves the base year and the single year analysis. Ryan, if you would like to give a brief summary of the tasks and the scope and where we land today and then next steps.
Yeah, I might actually turn it over to Hamza if you don't mind to just kind of walk through the scope.
Yes, yeah, I can walk through this scope. So just generally, I think you can just hold it at the summary page. I kind of have the or we can walk through them individually too. So task 1 is just project management. We have basically a total of 6 meetings accounted in there, 1 for the initial kickoff and then 5 interim meetings to coordinate with KTMPO on various items and then also developing a schedule and updating that schedule. So that one is a pretty straightforward task. Task 2 and task 3 are kind of interrelated, and it's what Po-Chun was talking about. So the first task is related to base year demographics. So we will take what Po-Chun has developed in his control totals memorandum, and we will allocate those totals into specific zones within the travel demand model. So the travel demand model is split into, hundreds of zones that represent areas within that model area boundary or within the city. So it could be the neighborhoods, it could be commercial areas and various things. So we take those control totals and we allocate those into specific zones. And we do that for base year. And we also verify the base year network, which is, making sure that anything that was built between the last model update, which I believe was 2020, to this model update, that those roadways and networks are represented. I know there's a lot of construction on I-35, and then maybe there's some other local roads that were updated or constructed or built too. So that's what we're checking for. The one thing that Kendra mentioned earlier is that KTMPO's model is the last model that kind of TxDOT manages and oversees. That is a single year analysis model. So one of the things that we're also doing as part of our base year update is converting it to a master network model. And what that basically means is all your analysis years and your analysis network live in one file rather than multiple files. It just makes it managing the network and updating a little bit easier because it's all located in one file. And KTMPO's model is the last one to go through that update. So that was the brief revision that Kendra mentioned that we had to go through and update the scope and fee associated with that. Task 3 is doing the horizon year forecast. So that is the 2055 forecast that Po-Chun was mentioning. It's the same process as the base year, but we use the control totals, then allocate that. And one of the things that we will be working with Kendra on in the KTMPO is once we do those forecasts, we will be sending that model files back to the MPO for review to make sure that, at a high level that we've allocated that forecast correctly. And that's where your feedback can come in is, you are much more familiar with the area and the understanding of where growth might be occurring at a more local level, and provide us some feedback in terms of, hey, we feel like maybe the southern part of this MAB is where the growth is occurring versus where maybe we're showing it. So that's going to be part of task 3. And then task 4 is basically summarizing those results in a technical memorandum, which is pretty standard process. And then I think that's pretty much it. We have a couple of optional tasks if KTMPO chooses for us to help out with those. But for now, we'll be doing task 1 through 4.
All right, thank you. Any questions on the Killeen-Temple contract agreement?
Is there a project schedule, a timing of when these are going to be? I didn't see anything.
Yes. So that will be our first deliverable as part of the project management, but the overall submittal date to TechStop for everything final is December 4th, if I'm not mistaken. So we will build our schedule back from that time frame. So everything needs to be approved and ready to go by December 4th. So we have about 7 months or so to do these things. So our first task will be to develop a schedule, and we can, but generally speaking, base year demographic updates will take us about 2 months, and then we'll have a back and forth with TxDOT. There's basically 2-week periods that are built in for review for TxDOT and the MPO. And then if there's any comments, we'll make those changes, finalize base year and the base year network and the master network. So that whole process will take about 3 months, and then another 3 months or so to do the forecast year demographics and getting comments. And then the last month would be just finalizing the technical memorandum. So it'll go by pretty quick in terms of the time frame of this.
Thank you. Any other questions? Other questions? This is a action item. Without any further questions or discussion, I will entertain a motion. In stereo. Did we get who
Who was the second?
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That motion carries. Okay. Agenda item 8 is a discussion item regarding the draft FY 27 to 30 Transportation Improvement Program, or the TIP. This is pages 19 through 69 in your packet. Callie?
Right, so this is, we're still developing our draft FY 27 TIP, and we will be moving 15 projects forward from the previous FY 25 to 28 TIP into the new TIP, and then adding 3 projects. One of the biggest changes you would see in your packet when we last presented this item was with the Business 190 Phase 4. We discovered that the limits were incorrect. They were matching the Phase 2 of this project. So we updated those to match what was originally submitted in 2023. And phase 4 is what ranked higher than phase 2 whenever the project was ranked as well. So that's one change that we made since the last time you've seen this item. And then we'll also be adding 28 new transit projects. The 27 to 28 funds are kind of moving forward, same deal from the 25 to 28 tip to the 27 to 30 tip. And then we'll be getting new funds for the 29 to 30 portion of this new tip. And then with that being said, I will hand it over to Anita to discuss our public engagement process, which we began last week.
Thank you so very much, Kelly. We do have a public meeting scheduled for today at April 1st from 12 to 3 at the Coppers Cove Public Library. One of the new elements that we've added in for our public engagement is story maps. And if you'd like to use that QR code to click on that and look at that, it'll be a lot of fun. We're super excited about it. It's titled Transportation Planning for the Places We Call Home. It's almost an interactive opportunity. We'll have all the projects listed out in there. And Tay and I, we developed this in a matter of less than 8 hours. So it's still in draft, but it is published. So we'll have some opportunity to get organize that a little bit better. There are 3 ways to get involved. And so to pare down some of our effort and improve efficiency, we're allowing our public to, we'll be counting likes and angry faces. I know that sounds silly, but it's a great metric. It can improve efficiency, but the negative side is that it can oversimplify some complex decisions that are made in the project scoring process. And so we'll be adding in a survey where they can actually comment on some of those projects. Well, on all of the projects, actually. And then, so we've got our feedback, we've got our typical mail-in, social media, public comment form, and I'm working with Christina to schedule a meeting for Chaparral Road project. And so that'll be another element that's coming in the next couple of days. Do we have any questions about our public engagement for this plan?
Anita, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
It's something that came up with us, and I don't know if other people are having the same problem, is we are having people from out of state and out of country comment and skew the input.
Okay.
And is that something that you all check to see when people respond, or?
I do do a little background work to find out where they live at. Like this morning, we had a comment on the Coppers Cove project. And so I researched it, and it is a business owner in Coppers Cove that made that comment. So I do look at that. And I would say that the greatest impact for us to determine if we're doing what we said we would is when our partners share our posts. So we're looking more, and typically we have not had any out of region comments. That could change. On the surveys, I always ask where you live at. And so you can say, one of the towns or other. And so that helps narrow it down. But so far, we have not had that problem.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Did anybody pull up the QR code and look at it?
Yeah.
Would you like it? Isn't that cool? We're so excited about it, y'all. Unveiling story maps coming your way. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. Any questions for Kelly or Anita? This is just a discussion item. Yeah, it'll be brought back for action.
I have a question on Coppers Cove Ashley Drive connection. We're actually on schedule. That out October, after October 1st, 2026. Pushing it to 2028, does that cause any problems or anything like that? If we're early?
Get a discussion with your local government liaison with TechStot on the schedules.
Because those plans are almost at.
Daniel would be your contact.
Yes.
Any other questions? All right. Agenda item 9 is a discussion item regarding amendments to the 2050 MTP FY 27 to 30 TIP and public engagement plan related to coordination and consultation with tribal nations, housing stakeholders, and the general public for other planning activities. This is pages 70 through 76 in your packet. Kendra?
This is an above and beyond effort that we are doing on our side in order to prepare for our federal certification review coming up in just a couple of weeks. We have traditionally reached out to our tribal nations and those governments over at least the last 10 years. I know we've reached out probably at least 3 times, but reviewing our public engagement plan, when we were updating that a couple of years ago, we realized that it had been a little bit of time. There is no regulated schedule as to when we are to reach out, but it should be periodic and routine. So we had missed a routine scheduled outreach to those tribal nations. So we made an effort to reach out to those over the last couple of months. Ashland sent 29 tribes information about the MPO, how they can get involved, and what we do and why it's important in respect to burial grounds, artifacts, other cultural significance in the region when transportation planning is underway. We also reached out to housing stakeholders, so housing agencies, housing nonprofits, because the most recent Transportation Act does encourage coordination with housing authorities and housing stakeholders. So we made that effort as well of sending the same information to those within the region. And so this amendment that you see here is basically putting this language into our MTP, our TIP, and our PEP with the efforts that we anticipate to continue here forward, reaching out to these stakeholders. And then in regards to the general public, there is an amendment as well to our PEP that basically captures all other planning activities. So we had laid out an effort of how we would conduct our meetings, how we would conduct efforts for major plan amendments and minor plan amendments, but we had not described how we would handle other planning activities such as studies, policy developments, federal certification review, formal plan updates. And so although we are saying in this chart here that none are required, we are recommending a 15-day public comment period and at least one public meeting to be held for any of these activities and as needed for the frequency. So we wanted to go ahead and get ahead of that because we know federal certification, our reviewers will be looking to see how do we handle these things. And so as we were preparing for our federal certification review and what do we have to do, we realized that was not laid out in our plan. So we wanted to get ahead of that for this event specifically, but for any other planning activity that might come our way. So this is just a review at this point. This is in draft form. This is included in the MTP and other TIP projects that are going out for public involvement. So this item right here, along with those MTP and highway and transit projects, this will all be brought back to you in May for final review and final approval.
Any questions? Kendra? All right, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to staff, and we're happy to answer those for you. Agenda item 10 is a discussion item regarding KTMPO's request for regionally significant projects to be included in transportation planning documents, pages 77 through 78 in your packet. Callie.
All right, so again, as a part of our FY 27 to 30 TIP development, we're requesting that everyone send us any regionally significant projects they have going on in their area. This is regardless of funding, but of course, if it's being funded by KTMPO, we already have that in our list, but anything outside of that, at minimum, it would be all principal arterial highways and fixed guideway transit facilities. Other projects could be those that provide access outside of the region, connect major activity centers, support major developments, or serve transportation terminals. We are requesting that you get this list by April 10th, just so that way we'll be able to incorporate it in with our new tip. And if anyone has any questions, they can email me, or if they have any now, I can try to answer them.
Callie did send out an email with the spreadsheet attached. Please take a look at that and provide any comments you may have. Like she said, she's happy to answer any questions you may have on the spreadsheet as you're going through it. But this is for us to capture all of the regionally significant projects. Any questions? All right. None. Agenda item 11 is a discussion item regarding quarterly updates on transportation grants, pages 79 to 83. Kendra.
I'll keep this brief. The details of these grants were included in your meeting packet. I just want to highlight the SS for a FY26 competitive scoring or competitive funding opportunity is now open and closes at the end of May. So that is a regional opportunity that our local governments can build upon, I should say, the regional plan that we already have in place. Our 2022 funding opportunity that we were awarded built the foundational plan that's required for our local governments to go out on their own to seek these funding opportunities. So we are underway right now with our FY25 SS4A grant of starting that project of updating the safety action plan with a couple of other planning activities. But regardless, the 26 opportunity is now open. And if you need assistance with your application or pulling information from the plan that we have in place, feel free to reach out and we'll be happy to help as we can.
Any questions on the grants? All right. Agenda item 12 is a discussion item regarding public input received through the previous month and upcoming public involvement events, pages 84 to 94 in your packet. Anita.
Thank you, sir. Once again, we have our public meeting today at the Coppers Cove Public Library that will include the amendments for the 2050 TIP, MTP, FY27 to 30 TIP, and the PEP. Then on April the 9th, staff will be over at Connecting the Dots 9.0, which is an event hosted in conjunction with University of Mary Hardin Baylor, Baylor Scott and White, and Central County Services. It's sold out right now, so there's over 300 providers there. So that's going to be a great opportunity. April the 10th will be at Texas A&M University Picnic and Field Games for the Regional Active Transportation Plan. And also on April the 4th, we'll be at Salado Barrow Brewing for the Regional Active Transportation Plan. Everyone is invited to our federal certification review, which is on Wednesday the 15th between 5 and 6 p.m. We are going to be providing a box meal, so RSVP is requested for that event. And I'm sure that everybody has received that email previously. And then the federal certification review will actually end on May 22nd. Thank you so much. We did receive a few public comments. One was outside of our scope. One was on safety regarding the work at the village of Salado. I think that's Williams Road. Sorry, I've looked at a lot of roads lately. And so we were able to answer that question. That question was received on social media, and the gentleman that we responded to, he liked it, so he was happy with our response. So far, this first quarter, finalizing through March, we've had 121 various public comments, either that's through the plan amendments or comments in general. The majority of them are on the Regional Active Transportation Plan. 57%. Thank you. And there's some more QR codes you can scan. There's the information on the, okay, we'll just pass right through all that. That's okay. That's all right.
The button got ahead of me.
Yeah. This right here, y'all, if you're into food deserts and things of that nature, trying to work on creating better food opportunities where there is no stores. This guy, Jeremy Everett, he's with Baylor in Waco, and he's a phenomenal speaker. And he's really has changed the landscape of getting food into hands of people that are underserved. He actually served, I think, on one President Obama's a roundtable of some sort to change how we address food deserts in the United States. He's really a great speaker, innovative ideas. Do you want to add anything to that federal certification review, Kendra or Uryan?
I think we're good.
Yeah, of course, if you haven't RSVP'd, please do. If you plan on attending the stakeholder roundtable that evening from 5 to 6.
Yes, sir.
From 5 to 6. I'm sure we have enough. No questions on public input? A lot of QR codes.
QR code central.
We're knocking QR codes out of the park, so got that going on for us. Director's update pages 95 through 98 in your packet. I don't have a whole lot to update this time. Tempo met a couple weeks back. The big conversation, of course, was reauthorization. So Tempo's conversations and AMPO's conversations all really right now are stemming around reauthorization and the Basics Act and what that looks like, how it impacts locals and regions, as well as how it impacts our state partners. Texas, you know, we're kind of special. We have a really good relationship with our state DOT. We like to keep that relationship. So we want to make sure that everybody through the next reauthorization process is elevated in funding, and that we're not just cutting off one party's legs so we can walk a little taller. So those are the conversations we're having at AMPO and Tempo. As we go through this, we do anticipate that after further conversation, you know, in the beginning, we're definitely going to get reauthorization by September, maybe even earlier. Now they're saying we'll possibly have some additional bills dropped by the House T&I committee in early April. Maybe not. It could be a little later than that. So we're probably going to be looking at a CR with an actual reauthorization bill sometime around first quarter of next calendar year. So just so everybody's aware. I don't really have any other updates than that. The air quality readings, of course, were 60 and 55 parts per billion, but I'm happy to answer any questions anyone may have. All right. Seeing none, we will move to agenda item 14, which is member comments. Any member comments? Why? All right. Seeing none, we will move to agenda item 15 with no more business. The meeting is adjourned at 10:21. Thank you.